What's up guys, Matt Monas here, back again with another video, and this time it's about the Moto G 2015. Now, historically, the Moto G has been Motorola's best-selling device. It beats out the Moto X, and it also sells more than the Moto E. But this year they're marketing it as a budget phone, whereas the recently announced Moto X Play is going to take their mid-range category. So how does the Moto G hold up as a budget device? Well, without wasting any more time, let's find out. Let's start off with the design, and the Moto G looks like a smaller, thicker plastic Moto X. The back is made out of this rubber texture, and if you move your fingers across it, it makes this little zippy noise. Overall, the rubber is a nice touch. It stops the phone from slipping and it makes it easier to hold. The coolest thing about the Moto G is the ability to customize your phone. Unfortunately, in Canada, we're limited to just black. But if you live in the States, you have black, white, and 10 other cool colors to choose for the backplate, and you can even choose the color for the accent strip as well. What makes the Moto G unique from other budget phones is that it's waterproof. It can handle 3 feet of water and stay submerged for 30 minutes. Perfect for rainy days, dips in the pool, and when you accidentally drop your phone in the toilet. The display is 5 inches with a resolution of 720p and 294 pixels per inch. It's an okay display and definitely a step up from the display on the Moto E. Colors feel flat and dull, and you can ever so slightly see the pixels. It's fine for watching videos and viewing photos, but it's not the same experience as using a mid-range device or higher. Thankfully, the performance is a lot better than the display. In fact, it's perfect for a budget phone. Everything ran fine considering I'm using the cheaper model with only 8GB of storage and 1GB of RAM. Twitter, Gmail, and Spotify all ran great, but Instagram and Facebook ran a little slow. Based on other reviews, the higher end Moto G with 2GB of RAM and 16GB of storage had better performance, and that's to be expected since the specs are superior. The software also contributes to the phone's great experience, and just like the Motorola devices before it, it keeps close to a near stock Android UI. However, Motorola does include some nice tweaks, one of them being glances that show your notifications on your lock screen when you move the phone, but my favorite were the gestures. I loved using the karate chop motion to turn on the flashlight and the twist the wrist feature to bring up the camera. Both gestures felt really satisfying to use. But the most impressive feature of the Moto G has to be the battery life. It only has a 2470 mAh battery, but because it has a 720p display combined with a very efficient Snapdragon 410 processor, you end up with some amazing results. I got up to 5.5 to 6 hours of screen on time, and if you're a light user, you'll easily end up going 2 days without charging up. Now that I spoke about the most impressive thing about this phone, I want to talk about the least impressive thing, and that has to be the fact that it only comes with 8GB of storage. The thing is, you only have 4GB of usable space since the other 4GB is reserved for the operating system. After I installed all my favorite apps, I was left with 429 megabytes. I couldn't update the phone, and I couldn't install anything new. Now, I know it does have a micro SD card slot and it's capable of holding up to 32GB if you buy a 32GB card. But the thing is, once you start putting apps on a micro SD card, the whole performance of the phone suffers. Moving on, the Moto G now includes LTE, which is really not common in low budget phones until recently. However, it doesn't include support for 5GHz Wi-Fi networks. If you live in an apartment with Wi-Fi signals everywhere, it might be an issue. Finally, the camera, a 13 megapixel shooter on the back that uses the exact same sensor as the Nexus 6. The Nexus 6 doesn't have the greatest camera, but it's capable of taking some decent shots. The same holds true for the Moto G. Snapping photos are quick and fast. You either get some really oversaturated photos or dull and less colorful ones. The pictures are more than fine for Instagram and Snapchat, and the camera itself is actually pretty good for a budget phone. Here's some photos so that you can judge for yourself. So what's the bottom line then? Should you go out there and buy this phone? Well, I'll tell you what I like about the Moto G 2015. Great battery life, a good camera, and a very good software experience. But the one thing I don't like about the phone is the fact that it only comes with 8GB of storage and 1GB of RAM. Now this is specific to Canadians, and I think if you live in Canada, there are better options out there if you could spend about $50 more, one of them being the Asus Zenfone 2. But if you live in the States and you can get your hands on the 16GB model with 2GB of RAM, I definitely think it's worth the purchase. Now, one thing Motorola does really well is provide everybody with a good software experience. So if that trumps everything else for you, then you're gonna wanna pick up the Moto G 2015. So what do you guys think of the Moto G 2015? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have one already, let me know what you like and dislike about your device. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you found it helpful, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And I'll see everybody in the next video.
Ugh, things I do for YouTube. Ugh.